Welcome to Lab 4.2 WBS. In this lab, we are going to make an PHP application that talks with the MySQL to carry out a simple CRUD operation. The CRUD operation includes the basic SQL functions such as retrieving, updating, deleting the record, and creating a record. So the objective of this lab is to perform the insertion, the selection, dating, and the deletion of records from the table created inside a database. This is the table structure that we are going to create in PHP But before doing this application, just make sure that both the services, Apache and MySQL, is running in the exam control panel. Then you click on admin and you create a database called as CRUD with table called as pets inside it. I have created it already to save the time. This pets table have two columns. One is called as ID and the other one is called as the name of the pet. And you can declare the ID as the primary key. And we are done with the first step. This step is done. Basically, this Lab 4.2 is based on lecture 7.1. Hence, the 7-point lecture is also kept handy. So you may also make the S7.1 presentation open in front of you to follow the steps more easily. The app outputs looks like this. We have a place that takes the value from the PID from the user for the pet ID, and we have a place or a text field to take the value from the user. And then when the save button is clicked, an insertion of MySQL query happens and the database and the values are pushed into the database. After pushing the values into the database, a selection operation is performed in the same form, HTML form, and we are able to see the values inside the table here. So this is the output and we are going to recreate it together. We are done with the creation of a database and the table setup just now. And now let's look into the creation of the HTML form for CRUD application. The HTML forms and the HTML form looks like this. It has head, and then inside the head, it is linking a style sheet called as styles.css, which is actually giving you the stylish effect onto this HTML form. Then we have a form whose method is equal to post, which means the values that we are going to send from the text field is going to be retrieved by using the post method. Then we have the H1 declared and the label as PID and the input type equal to text to take the value from the user regarding the pet's ID. Similarly, we have it for the pet name as also, and then the form is ended and the body of the HTML and HTML is ended. Now, let us get this let us get this form into the NetBeans. You might use Visual Studio or any other ID that you are comfortable with. I'm using NetBeans. So we go here and we want to create a project here. Okay, so before we do that, let us get the raw files that are provided to us inside the lab folder. So it is called as pets. I'm going to extract them all in the same folder. And we're going to browse the files that are provided to us. So we have files called as dbconfig handler edit pets and style. So quickly just take a look at the DB handler. Yeah, the DB handler is having a function, a constructor, which is helping us to get connected with the database, and a DB function called as DB connect, which is helping the PHP to make a connection with the table and the database eventually. And then we have empty insert function, retrieve function, search and update and delete that we are going to do it now. Okay, and then we have a dbconfig file, which is having the four important pieces of information using which the PHP program will get connected with the pets table that we have created. It has a local host, which means the server, my PHP myadmin, or the server MySQL is running on the local host. Then the username for this database is root, password is empty, and the database name that we have created is called as CRUD. Basically, this is the name of the database that you have created. You know, it can be different also. And then we have edit. Okay, so if you see in the edit, we have label called as PID and then the place where the user will enter the text for the ID and the name as well. Then we have the pets data pets.php file, which is having pure HTML inside it, and then we're going to provide a PHP code doing this exercise. So with this four application, and then we have a style.css, sorry, which is giving us the styles for the HTML form. With this raw files given to you, we need to provide the additional functionalities, and then we are going to follow that by either using your lecture 7.1 or the lab manual. So now let's go and start working on the pets. What does it say? It asks us to now, first of all, create the pets application. Okay, the pets form, HTML form. So we have these files. We can do one thing is we can just go copy them all, or rather uh, copy and okay, Control C, and we remember that in order to run any PHP application, we need to store the files inside the htdocs. So we're going to the exam control, exam folder, then we go to the htdocs. Then inside the htdocs, we want to create a folder called as 4.2. Okay, I have created it already. So what I will do is I will create another folder called as lab4-2 hyphen 81. Okay, and then I am going to paste my files here. Okay, so we have htdocs, then we have 4.4-2 lab and then -81. And inside that we have a pets folder, and then we have these files. So what I'm going to do now is I will go to the NetBeans. I will just say new project, and I will click on PHP application from the existing source. Then click on next and select the source folder. This is the source folder that I am trying to get inside the htdocs, inside the 4-281, and then I click on the pets folder. Okay, and okay, we are done. Click on next. File must be specified. Okay. here it is asking us, okay, now if you remember the URL uh, of the htdocs where we have kept the pets folder is inside the lab 4.2 pets. Okay, 4.2 pets. Okay, and inside this we have our files. So I'm just going to locate what to run when I'm going to run the project. It is pets file. So we come back here and the project URL is pets dot php. Okay, and then I'm clicking on finish. You can follow the steps to run the uh, file inside the Visual Studio Code by just clicking on the file, new project, and uh, click on file, uh, new PHP file. Give it a proper name like this and copy paste the code. This is also very easy way of doing it. But make sure that you save it inside the htdocs inside a folder called as lab4.2. Okay, so with this, we have the code available inside the IDE. So I have dbconfig. Okay, I have db handler. You see, these functions insert, retrieve, search, update, and delete are empty. We need to provide the data inside it or the code inside it, and the code is already provided to you in lecture 7.1 that you have already covered in the theory. So, in the theory class. And then we have edit, okay, and then we have pets, okay. Now let's try to run the pets .php. Okay, it says localhost pets and pets.php. So one second, just let me backtrack and get the files. Okay, so I get pets here and then I have the pets.php. Yeah, this is how it looks. Mm-mm. Okay. So now if you see, it is actually running the other app. It is not running the app that we have just created. We have stored the pets folder inside lab 4.4-2-81. So what we're going to do is just click and copy this folder name. Okay. Uh, Control C, and then we go and click on the URL, and I am going to take out this and copy 4.4-2-81, and then we have a folder inside it called as pets. We are opening that, and then inside it we have edit. So we have edit.php and pets.php. We want to run pets.php as of now. So pets and then pets.php. This is the file called as pets.php, which is inside the pest folder, which is inside the lab4-2-81, which is inside the localhost. So when you run this, you get the CRUD application or pets application working. Now, if you try to enter 101 and then you say mini and then you click on save, nothing will happen because the PHP code to take the values out of these text fields and create an insert SQL query and then insert it into the table that we have created is not yet written completely. So this information is not safe and you don't see anything getting displayed here. So this is actually what we want to do right now. So the next step, what we have to do after this, okay, so we are ready with this part. We are ready with this part. The second thing is we want to open the database config file. We just saw the database config file here and we are okay with it. We have referred to the database name as CRUD. Okay, where can you find this code? You can find the code here for db config file, and then you have the code for dbhandler.php here, which is trying to have a db connect function to connect your PHP file with the database. Also, these files are provided to you with this raw files that comes along the lab 4.2. So we have the code ready. Okay, so we are done till slide number 5. The next thing is adding the insert code inside the insert functionality, insert SQL, PHP function, sorry. Here, what are we trying to do? We are going to create an SQL insert query, insert into pets some values, and then we are going to create an statement object and bind the parameters to this statement using the statement object with the ID and the name what the user will enter, and then we are going to return the execute function output in a form of a Boolean value true or false. And we are going to provide a catch for this. So you need to type this code. Now, in order to save the time, I have already written the insert functionality and tested it. So I'm going to copy the insert function. So we go to the DB handler. All the things related to the database insertion and deletion is always written inside the DB handler file to make it more readable. Okay, so we have this code. Okay, you can refer to the slide and type it. Okay, and then I go to the DB handler of our raw file, and then I provide this functionality. Okay, and save it. So we don't want to have a false here right now. Okay, save. Then let's run it. So we click on this. Okay, if you remember, we have to write down here the lab, but I have it already open here, right? So let us run this. Yes, it's working. It's working. And then let's enter some value and then click on save. Okay. And let's see, it will not show you the values here because we are not yet finished with writing the select query. We're just done with the insert query. So we can go to the database and check actually if we have it done. So we have here pets information. And what did we do? Lab 4.1, no, this one CRUD function, and then we have 4. The values did not come yet. Let's see what happened. So it will not work because we have created the insert function, but we never called it. And we did not execute this insert function using the connection that we have created in the dbconfig file. So hence, we need to provide this information inside the pets.php about the connection. So this is the connection, okay, which is including the db handler file. And what do we have in the DB handler file? We have this insert function. So we need to call this insert function inside our pets.php. So we are providing the information about the DB handler, creating an object of the DB handler. Then we will use this object to create the DB connection, which is again inside the DB handler .php file. This dbconnect function is used to create a connection between the uh, PHP application what we are creating with the MySQL database. Without this connection, the values cannot be pushed. So we created this in line number 5. And then we need to take the values out of the ID and the name text fields when the save button is clicked. And then we need to insert. So we call the insert function by using the DB object that we have created, and we send the values what the user entered in the ID and in the name text field. Then we need to save this and rerun the application. So here is the application that I'm going to rerun it, and I'm going to put some, value inside the ID and in the name. So the ID, I'm putting it as 222. The name is mini mini, and let's save it. And in order to make sure that it is working, we come to the MySQL and then we check it on our table. You see the new value have been created. New record have been created. So this is how the insert function is going to work. Okay, so now let's see what do we have in the slide number 7. The slide number 7 is talking about the DB connection. We saw the DB connection already. We saw how we collect the information out of the ID and the name by using the post method. You girls, I am not getting into the details because I don't want to confuse you with the theory lecture that you have already done. So I'm giving you the important points and not getting into so much of details. Then we have the isSat function to just make sure that the values what the user entered is not empty and to avoid these warnings and fatal errors. Okay, and then we have the isSat function there inside our if condition to just make sure that when the button is set and we take out the values from the user ID and the password, the pet ID and the name. Okay, so we are done with this. Okay, and after the, okay, so you can add this information insert or failed too. Okay, inside the pets.php. Okay, so we have this result, and if based on the value of the result, if it is true, we will display inserted or we will display failed. Okay, so let's do that. So where do we have to do it? We have to do it somewhere here. Okay, so let me go to the pets.php that I have already written. So we have this to be added at line number 61, this code after the logout reference. Okay, so we come here, Control C, and then number 61. Okay, uh, let's name. Okay, value for ID. We can have it here. We can have it here. Okay. So echo inserted successfully or fail to insert, then quickly test it. Okay, so rerun it, continue. duplicate entry for this one. Okay, because it took the previous value. Okay, we'll just make it a different value for the primary key. When you save it, you see inserted successfully this message. Just make sure that the data was pushed into the backend. And now if you see the table, the new record is inserted. Okay, so we are done with slide number 9 and 10. Okay, and 11 as well. Okay, now we want to see the select also working in our pets.php. So we are going to see how to bring the values and show it here. So what is it saying? It is saying that return the result set from the given statement and display it inside the retrieve function. So our retrieve function is writing a select query and executing the select query and displaying the result. So this function, this code should go inside the BP handler file inside the retrieve function. Okay, so you can type it and test the code. So I am taking it from here because I already tested this, so it will save our time from typing and we can concentrate on the code rather than typing it. So I go to the DB handler and I take this code, okay, and we're going to put it here in the DB handler of my program that we are doing together. Okay, so we have this, but again, we need to call this retrieve function, otherwise it will never run. So again, we need to update the pets.php to call this function for us. So just, okay. So we are going to now make a call to the retrieve function and gets it value and show it here in the table. Okay, so we have a table here, and then inside this, we can have the data. Okay, and then save it. And we try to run it. Okay, so we need to continue. Okay, because it is entering a new file. Okay. So we said inserted successfully, edit and delete. Okay. So not this one. Okay. Wait. Okay. We don't want this code here. Rather, we want the code of we want to make a call to the retrieve function, which is like this. DB, $DB, arrow, retrieve. So we have it here. Save. And we will go here and insert some values, 444. And we have a value here. So enclose line number 60. Okay. Okay. Line number 60. Okay. because we have started the curly braces here uh, inside the tr, so we need to close it here. Now let's rerun and check. Okay, and then click on save. Okay, so it is showing, okay, it created the values, but it created the rows, but it did not get us the values. Let's see what happened. Why is it doing like that? So here in this slide, yeah, we have to provide the table data TD to be the row which is coming from the table. So we need to write echo $row and the ID. So this is basically coming from the database. So we did not put these values inside the TD. That's why it was not showing us the data, but it created the TD because the TD was empty. Now we go to the PHP and we go here and add this content inside the table data. So just make sure we have one TD to display ID, another TD to display the name. Okay, so I am going to put this data and then save and test our application. Okay, yeah. So I'm just having a new value entered for the yeah, we got the data. So this is how the retrieval is working, right? Now, what is the next thing that we have to do is the update function. So the update function is having uh, a new file called as edit.php. Okay, and then when the user clicks on this edit.php, we want the user to open the when the user clicks on the edit button, we want to open the edit.php. And whatever the user values are entered in the text field and click on the update button, we want to push it into the database. So when you click on a button and open a new file, we need to have this code ahref, the URL of the file, okay, to open the select query or the update query with the ID of this particular row. For example, you want to update pet 101, okay, and then you click on the edit button beside it. It should take this 101 and then bring this values and provide you the functionality of update. So how do we do that? Now let's go and check the next slide. Okay, so we are going to now add functionality to the search underscore ID. And then we are going to uh, make the changes into the edit.php to check when the button is clicked. We want to call the search function by the database object. So if you see line number 7 and line number 11 have to be updated inside the edit.php, and we have to update and provide the functionality to the search function, this one. So let's do that. So let's go to the edit.php and provide the data for connecting this edit page by using the DB handler and the DB config file with the database. So we need to provide the connection information. This is the connection information, okay? And then when the button edit is clicked, we want to call the search function and we want to display the values of ID and the name Okay, and when the update button is called, we want to update the update query. We want to call the update query, which is invoked by calling the update function with the user ID and the pass and the name. And then if this is done successfully, we want to display a message updated, or we want to display a message not updated if the query did not execute it properly. So now this is our edit file. The next thing what we have to do is just let me put the okay, good. So, so now let's go and provide the functionalities inside our DB handler for search and for update. So this is the last thing that we will do. And then we have one more called as delete. Now let us do the search code. So the search code, we can take it from here. Okay. This is our search done. And for update, which code has to go for the update? So this code has to go inside the update based on the edit function. Okay, so we want to call the update. Okay, for example, the user changes the name, pet name, and then click on the update. This value have to be updated in the database, and then we want to show this information into the pets.php inside the display area, So we want to now update or add the code inside the update function, okay, with this. So, so we are adding the code inside the update function. Okay, now what is the next thing that we have to do? We have provided this code here, and we want the edit.php to have the display also done when there is an update. Okay, when the user change some value, then click on the update, like shown here. When the user writes some new value and click on the update, then we want to open the pets.php. So we have to add this inside the file, edit.php file. Okay. No, not the delete. We're not talking about delete. We're talking about update. Okay. So inside the edit.php, we have these lines to be added inside the edit.php. Let's do that. So now inside the edit.php, it is very important to take the values. For example, here, uh, the user is selecting 1.104. So when he clicks on edit, okay, these values have to be shown here, and we want to take the user to edit.php. Okay, so let's try. When I click on 104 and click on edit, you see we brought the user from pets.php to edit.php, and the user selected 104. So we are displaying 104 here and the name here. Now, whenever he makes the changes here, for example, if he makes it as because our database is having the PID as primary key, it has to be a unique value. So I'm saying 123, for example, and then click on update. You see 104. Yeah, it has to be displayed here. Okay, so this did not change. So we'll see how to change it now. 123. Yeah. So actually it is saving, it is updating. For example, you see here, okay, let me change it for 104. So 104, we don't want to change the ID because ID is supposed to be the primary key and primary key shouldn't be changed by the user. So instead of this mini, I can have a different value for 104 and then I click on update and you see it is changed 104 key and key. So this is how the edit is working. Okay. Now we need to make it for the delete. So I want you to do the delete. Okay. However, I will try to provide you the code. The code is here. We talk about update. Okay. So when the user clicks on the delete button, we want to take the value. Okay, for example, he's trying to delete 1001. Okay, so okay, we have, for example, two records in the table and we want to delete the second one. So we delete the second one, we just display the first, whatever the leftover records are there. In order to do that, you need to copy paste this code, understand, copy. You already discussed this in the theory class, right? So we need to have this code go inside the delete function. Uh, inside the delete function like this here. Okay, so it will look like this. It will look like this. Okay, and the next thing what we have to do is add inside the pets.php, inside the delete, add this code ahref equal to pets.php edit. Here we did it for the update edit button. Now we're doing it for delete button. So we have to pass on the ID of the record to delete it. So the same thing will go for delete. Okay. So we go to the pets.php and you scroll down and this information inside the codes, just be careful in doing it. Here it will go like this. Just be sure about the colons and this double quotes. It has to end here. Not here. So we have it. This is starting here and it should end here. So however here, when the user clicks on the delete button, we don't want to take him to the edit anymore. We want to take him to the pets.php. So it will see, and now don't need this. Yeah. Delete equal to this, then the delete button. Save this. So now we're saying that go to the pets.php with the delete variable carrying the row ID where what the user have selected. So we have to deal with this values here inside the PHP code. So we need to check if the button was, the button that was clicked was del. We want to take the ID and then call the db delete function. db delete function is inside the db handler. So we have the db handler delete function written here, which will copy the value of the ID through the delete parameter, method parameter, and then delete from uh, pets where ID is equal to the ID of what the user have selected. This query will be used and then it will be executed and the result will be stored inside the statement variable, and then bind parameter method is used to bind the ID with the type of the column, then it is executed. If it is true, then no worries, the statement is successful, it will return true. If it is false, then it will return false, and based on these true or false values, we will show them the we will show the user a message. So let's now run. Click on 101 delete. Okay, again it's taking us to the edit.php, so there is a mistake here. What is the mistake? We go to the pets.php and we need to save it. Okay, we need to save it, so that we go to the pets.php and rerun it. So actually it is working, but here when we click on the delete button, we take the pet ID and we send it to the pets.php with the variable value del is equal to ID. So the control will come here in the same file, and then it will search for the del variable, and it finds the del variable here. Okay, and then if the user is clicking on the delete button, we are sending the message and putting it inside the ID. And using this ID, we are calling the delete function. The delete function is inside the DB handler. So we come here and we execute this delete function. Okay, and then the value is deleted from the table. So let's go and check. Now, if I want to delete 1005, I click on the edit button. 10 is gone. For example, I want to delete this mini cat and 111. I click on it. It's gone. Okay. So that is it. We have it in 4.1 as of now. But you will try and implement this example by yourself, because in the practical session, I have already shown you the pieces of codes that you're going to write inside the three functions: edit, insert, and delete, and search. Four functions, and then you are going to run it. Okay, so if you watch the videos, if you watch this video carefully and type the code without mistakes, it should run. So going forward, yeah, this is the end of the 4.2. Going forward, you will add the access control, the session information, the user registration, login, and user authentication. So that is it for 4.2. We have this app working now, and you have the empty code provided to you. You need to add the functionalities. However, the file that we have finished now, I will share it with you in the Blackboard. Also, please follow the lecture 7.1 in order to be able to do this, uh, by yourself if you want. Or you can run the file that I have given to you, but I highly recommend that you redo the work and upload it in the Blackboard. Okay, thank you for watching.